Hey y'all. I figured I would do like a just a brief little update because I'm not streaming. I'm probably not going to be streaming anything this week. I might. We'll see. Right now, I threw my back out today, so I was doing yoga and like I could tell I did. There's a pose called wheel pose. I can't remember what the full name or what the yogic name on it is, but it's a difficult pose. Imagine you are placing your hands like, okay, lay on your back, place your hands, right, like this, and you're lifting with your legs and your arms, not just tabletop position. You're like going all the way. You're just like a big wheel, basically. It's like your whole body makes like an upside down oval. It's a very difficult posture to do. And some days I can do it, some days I can't. And today, like, I did a successful, like, 3 seconds of it. And I was like, oh, I'm done. And then my yoga instructor was like, trying to be encouraging and was just like, grab my ankles, come on, we can do it. And so I really pushed myself. And like, I was like, oh, I've overdone it. Like, I've overstressed myself. And so, lo and behold, I get home. I didn't feel really anything until I went to take a shower. Like get all the sweat and just get clean. And I don't know. I went to go reach for the soap and my back was just like, I don't like you anymore. We've got words, sir. And I was like, it was just terrible, miserable pain going right up whenever I would bend over. So like I'm okay right now. I can stand, I can walk, but it's that transitional period from sitting to standing where I'm just in miserable pain. And so it's made it difficult to like work on the Legend of Redneck today. I got some work done, but it wasn't a lot because I noticed like after about an hour, hour and a half, my back starts to like really tense up. So I look at that and I go, okay, I need to like take a break. Uh, you know, maybe listen to some Alan Watts or I don't know, do some Reiki or whatever. Um, just rest, right? Like that's like when that happens, my body's just like it's time to rest, and it doesn't happen that often. Last time I threw my back out, this is when I was doing burpees. Um, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was quite some time ago. Um, anyway, it wasn't pleasant, and that I was still working on Trailer Park Warlock at the time, and like I would try and work on Trailer Park Warlock because I was like, oh, I've got a deadline. I've got to get this done. But like the pain was so bad. I was just like, okay, I guess I'm just laying on the couch and I'll have to make up for this later on. It eventually, I mean, it got better pretty fast, and hopefully this will get better fast too. But that's part of the reason why I'm not live streaming today is because it's just like today, and probably not tomorrow, probably not Thursday, probably not Friday, probably not this week at all, is because I don't know when I'm gonna need to like take a break and just like lay on my back and like let it chill, you know? Hopefully it'll get better soon. But anyway, a lot of things have happened too over the course of this weekend. So like I became a Reiki master practitioner. Um I still don't really know how I feel about that. I took levels 1 and 2 of Reiki about a year ago because of several reasons, just curiosity for one. Another, I really wanted to get my hands dirty for a story that I want to write in the future that I keep thinking of as like the spiritual successor to Trailer Park Warlock. So like towards the end of Trailer Park Warlock, Jake Baker talks about how he wants to become a healer, and work for like some baseball team or whatever. And I do want to do a story about a healer, and so I have taken upon myself to get into that mindset, get into that like place as much as I can. And so Reiki was kind of the most accessible point for me to enter and kind of like look at what that world is like. Because like with Trailer Park Warlock, I did the same thing, got my hands dirty, learned a lot of occult stuff, did rituals and all this other stuff. Um, and, all the kind of woo metaphysical subject stuff. And that's what I want this next story to be. I don't know when I'm going to write it. It could be still years from now. Because, like, first of all, I still have to finish Legend of Redneck, which I'm probably going to finish in about a year from now. But in the meantime, in my spare time, I do want to do all of this research for this other project that I'm talking about. And I want to, I this is like a personal philosophy that I have for writing. It's not one that I necessarily think that everybody should follow or has to follow, but it's the one that I follow, and it's the one that I think helps me engage in writing. And which is also kind of the reason, kind of part of why Legend of Redneck is sort of a difficult project to write in some sense. Because I mean, other than Bat Monster, it's probably the least engaged from direct experience in many ways. From like Trailer Park Warlock and this future project that remains unnamed. But anyway, my point being, I personally think that what what is like fuel to the fire for a writer is personal experience. And not just writer, artist, whatever, musician, whatever it is that you you place as a main value in your creativity. It's very difficult for me to imagine having ideas come up without some kind of direct experience to point it towards, because that's where all the good stuff comes from. That's where all the like deepest ideas come from, and that's where like all the like devotional commitment comes from. I really feel like, and I hate to say it like this, but I would be lying if I didn't say it like this. I think that part of the reason why we have so much mediocre art in our day and age is because none of it's coming from direct experience. None of it's coming from, you know, people's lives. It's coming from like how people imagine people live their lives. And so it sounds fake, it sounds inauthentic, it sounds like really just like you're hearing what you want to hear rather than like reality or truth, or and those are kind of big words. Like I don't even necessarily, those aren't really the right words to use. But reality and truth as it concerns the artist, right? The person who's making the work. I think there's so much work nowadays that's being made that is at the behest of like some executive producer, or at the behest of, some investor or whatever, because they're just like, well, we need to have another, I don't know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch thing, or some other, name your property, right? More Dungeons and Dragons, more, um, I don't know, Peanuts or Garfield. Although I don't have an issue with that necessarily. Um, um, name your brand, and yet they won't make another food fight movie. um, if you don't know what food fight is, you should look it up. Anyway, it's remake after remake. It's modernization of all these things that like we've seen to death, and we're just I'm personally just nauseous from. There's just not a lot of original material, and I think part of that reason, the reason for that is people keep remaking or rebranding or going by this idea of you take something that worked in the past, and you you update it for a modern audience, or you add you only add your little spin on it rather than like building from the ground up an entire foundational like world and a set of ideas and philosophy and like characters, and you can tell when you watch those movies or you watch those shows or you read those stories. You can tell because it feels comfortable, but it doesn't feel it doesn't ultimately feel that interesting. It feels like eating potato chips or eating Doritos, like eating junk food. It's just junk food. Does I mean like that's like the nature of culture today and right now is most of it is junk food. I know people have wonderful things to say about all like the new Star Wars stuff that you can watch on Disney Plus or whatever, but it's just junk food. Like I mean, maybe it's like junk food you might buy at Whole Foods, but it's still junk food. It's still trash. Like it's still not something you need to like eat. And so for myself personally, I've always kind of thought about um well, and not always. Lately I've been thinking more and more about art as um what would actual whole food version of art look like? What like organic farm raised. This is such a ridiculous metaphor, but what would that look like in the sense of it comes from a very authentic source and um isn't just trying to like garner points by using the templates and the recipes that people already know work. Because once again, like, yeah, you can get views by doing that, but are you going to actually make something that will last and is sustainable and like has an impact going forward into the future? And that's my question about a lot of the like, the content, the art that's just kind of put out there to take up space these days. It's just stuff. It's just stuff, and I'm not really that interested in just making stuff. Like I know that I could just make stuff and make way more money than I'm making. Um, get more views, get more clicks, blah blah blah. But like, I wouldn't feel satisfied. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't feel happy with myself. I wouldn't like be able to look at myself in the mirror and go like, ah, yes, I made the most of this like gift that the universe has given me to like, make Teen Wolf 3. Like, it wouldn't sit well with me. That's all I'm saying. Like, I would rather just check out the whole art scene altogether. Either just become a full-time Reiki practitioner, I don't know, a day trader, literally anything. Like literally anything. I'd rather do literally anything than make Teen Wolf 3. Like there are very few things where I'm like, okay, I want to work on that property. Where it's just like there are very like here's my exception. Here's my outlandish will never happen exception. Nintendo approaches me as like, Matt, we want you to design from the ground up, you know, um, a Star Fox animated series or whatever. And by the way, like I would be 100% on board with that. But by the way, like there's another Matt who does that way better, and it's a show called Fox in Space that you can watch on YouTube. Highly recommend it actually. But anyway, that's like my exception. Um, and so honestly, when I think about it, the reason why I'm writing the Legend of Redneck right now is I wanted to do a Zelda parody. And at this point, the way that I'm writing it, it's like going in such a different direction from even its original reference point that, it's not even really honestly. I'm going to look at it when it's done and the Legend of Redneck thing, like the Zelda parody aspect of it is really just going to be kind of a tease for the reader. Like it's really kind of just a way to attract attention because once you're going to get to the end, you're going to be like, what does this even have to do with Zelda? which is the way. I mean, that's the way I would like it anyway, right? Like, there's all the Yu-Gi-Oh parody stuff in Trailer Park Warlock, but the beginning to the end is such a different thing that it really is at the end of the day only a way to sort of like attract reader attention and then be like, fooled ya, it's not what you thought it was. But anyway, I'm trying to figure out how much I want to ramble about like how I don't like modern storytelling. Because it's not entirely fair to modern storytelling. There's plenty of good modern stories, plenty of original ideas. I'm not always exposed to them. All the stuff that I really like that I see is pretty exclusive to like the internet and to YouTube or to like little corners of Webtoon that isn't just like another like the Duchess is the Emperor's daughter or whatever the hell, just like another like the assassin's gardener is in love with me or or like I was the Emperor's Duchess's dog walker or like I watered the plants for the Duchess's. I don't know why I'm obsessed with the Duchess. I'm I water the Duke's. Or no, I feed the Duke's goldfish. Fishmongers in love. It's like I feel like you could just put all these words in a hat, and if you just pick them out, that would be the next title for the next webtoon. And I'm just like, y'all really? Is this like really where y'all want to go? Like your company's about to go public, and that's like all you've got. Like I don't. I personally look at that, and I'm a little. It's a little embarrassing. That's all I'm saying. Maybe they're great titles, by the way. Maybe people just love them, and I'm like clueless, which is fine. I'm willing to eat that hat, but nevertheless, like I look at all that stuff, and I'm just like, okay, well, this is not the direction I want to go as an artist. I really, like after Legend of Redneck, like I think I want to be. I'm not going to be entirely done because of Mega Geo Brothers, but after that and Mega Geo Brothers, I really want to be done with this period of like referencing and homaging old games or games in general. Like I kind of want to be done with that. And I really want to move into a phase that is like as purely from the heart as I can get. And then like ramp up all of my favorite, most psychedelic, funny, absurd, um, just original points from Trailer Park Warlock. Ramp them up as much as I can for whatever this next title is going to be. And like I said, that's in the future. I can't really tell you what I'm going to end up with. And honestly, who even knows if it's going to get made, right? Like that's the thing about like writing is there are multiple projects that are on the back burner that just kind of percolate and like sit in the background and slowly sort of gestate into into completed stories. But that gestation process can be years. It can be a very long time. And that's just the nature of writing, of creation, of creativity in general. There's so much background work that nobody sees, that just completely is just like an idea that sits in the back of somebody's head for absolutely sometimes years, sometimes decades. I was watching a video with somebody who worked with the author of Dennis the Menace. That's how old school of like cartooning that I'll get into. I'm willing to get into because like I read a lot of comic strips when I was a kid. Dennis the Menace was one of them that I read. I never even found it that funny. I just liked to read it. I would just read all of the comic strips that were available. Even God forbid Doonesbury. Like I didn't even know what was going on in that strip. Like Like it's all political humor and stuff, and I'm just like, it was going over my head as a kid. But I would read it anyway because it was cartoons and it was comics and it was there, you know. Complete, you know, Hunter S. Thompson references completely going over my head, but like, you know, whatever. But anyway, like going back to Dennis the Menace, like something I recognize as I'm older is what a like fantastic illustrator Hank Ketchum was. Like just absolutely amazing illustrator. Anyway, this guy worked with Hank Ketchum and like you know listening to his story really kind of like it kind of got to my heart a little bit because like basically Hank took this guy under as like an apprentice and an art assistant to help him illustrate Dennis the Menace. Well, he did that for a couple of years and then he made his own comic strip that was heavily like artistically inspired by Dennis the Menace. Um, I don't remember why I bring that up, but I'm sure it'll loop back around at some point. Anyway, thinking about that, you know, really like got to some part of me that was like, yeah, you know, growing up, I always had like all these ideas that I wanted to get out there, and I think I think that a story that I do want to really finish up that I haven't had the chance to finish up yet is Mega Geo Brothers, and because it is like a story that goes back to my childhood. They're characters that I drew as a kid, and I just wanted to make some kind of story with them as I'm older, and I have better like skills overall, telling stories, drawing, all that stuff. And who knows, I might even do more stuff with them. There's a lot of fun ideas that I've had so far in writing that story. It's only available on Patreon right now, by the way, if you've never even heard of it or seen it. It's collected on Patreon right now and will remain an exclusive for a very long time at this point. Um, but anyway, I think that going back to what I was saying, Mega Geo Brothers is going to be the last title where I really do any kind of like popular culture references and homages and stuff. I really think I want to get away from that at some point and just either create a world or a little zone in you know one of the worlds I've created that is just so completely bereft of any of that stuff that it can I want to say stand the test of time, but really like what I want to say is like it evokes as authentic an expression of my ideas and self as I can. Um, you know, who knows? Like maybe there'll be other stories after that, but like right now, that to me seems to be the mark that I want to aim at and hit going forward into the future. I think that doing anything else as an artist would be a waste of my time and a waste of my skills that I've like worked so hard to accrue over time. And going back to another aspect of my philosophy, like I do want to I do want to try my best to write stories where it's like I treat it as the last story I'll ever write. Um, Kind of making, you know, that's kind of part of my mistake actually right now looking at it. The way that I've like written Legend of Redneck and Mega Geo Brothers is I've made this mistake of writing them like, you know, there's going to be other stories and I can tell like it kind of has an impact on like how hard I'm willing to go in making those stories. Um, and it's a weird balance because this is something I've talked about a lot with a lot of different people, which is I went really hard on Trailer Park Warlock and it did have some like negative aspects and consequences in terms of like my overall health and mental health and stuff like that. And so I'm always like in this constant work of trying to find a proper balance for myself of like how do I make my next work, how do I make whether it's the next page of something, whether it's the next whatever, how do I make it the best that I can without just like letting it destroy me? And every artist finds their own balance with that. There are artists who they went all in all the time and they made beautiful work and wonderful work and lived long and prospered. Like Hayao Miyazaki's like one of those dudes who's able to do that. I have no idea how. Just good genes, blessed. Maybe he goes. Maybe he has a Reiki therapist. Um, but I guess my whole point of this video is just to sort of discuss some of those ideas, catch y'all up on what's like going on with me, and let y'all know that I'm fine. I'm alive. I'm doing as well as I can. Hopefully, I will be feeling better later on in the week, and my back won't you know. It's not. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's bad enough that like today I was originally gonna go to hang out with friends and play board games, but I was like, I can't really stand up very well. Like standing up and sitting down, that those transitional activities just are just miserable. So anyway, I'm gonna go sit in my camping chair because that's about the most comfortable chair I could find. Although this chair is not too bad. Oof. Give me a second. And I guess watch more YouTube videos. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of my night. This has been this has been a difficult night because I'm such an antsy like workaholic type person that like you put me in a situation where it's like you can't do anything. And I'm just like, no, you can't do this to me. No, it's just like I don't know, my own personal hell. I'll get through it. Anyway, I hope y'all are having a good day, good night, whatever it is y'all are happening, you're having, whatever's happening too, I guess, when you watch this. Anyway, we'll talk again soon. Later.